This is Frank Fantini, and we are here with Joe Asher, who's the CEO of William Hill US. William Hill, as many people know, I think by now, is a UK-based betting company that has also, in our modern era, become an online company, an interactive company. And it has rapidly growing operations here in the United States. Just give us a little update, Joe, on what William Hill is doing here in the U.S.
Well, principally here in Nevada, we operate 108 sports books for casinos throughout the state. Not just Las Vegas and Reno, but many towns and cities throughout the state. In addition to that, we're the risk manager for the state of Delaware and their sports lottery, which has parlay betting on NFL football. And we also have a technology business where we license hardware and software to casinos here in Nevada that operate their own sports books. So that's the crux of the business here in the U.S.
The William Hill, obviously, when they decided to come to the U.S., saw an opportunity that was probably greater than one market. And I know that you're certainly an advocate for the legalization of sports betting, and a lot is happening in that area. Certainly a lot of discussion has been happening in that area. Any thoughts as to how legalization is going to play out?
Well, look, I don't think there's any doubt that eventually the federal prohibition on sports betting or state-sponsored sports betting will go away. The timing of it, I think, is up for debate. Clearly, the litigation in New Jersey, I think, helped generate some attention to the issue, as well as the proliferation of daily fantasy sports betting and the league's embrace of it and partnership with the daily fantasy sports betting companies around sponsorship and the like. And so I think it's inevitable that there's going to be more litigation around the issue. And I think the AGA has done a really good job on spotlighting the issue and has really launched an impressive public relations campaign that has shined a light on a law that is clearly a failed, broken law. I mean, if you look at PASPA, which is the Professional and Amateur Sports Protection Act that Congress passed in 1992, it's been an abysmal failure. All it's done is create a massive black market for sports betting where there's no transparency, no protection of the integrity of the game, no protection of consumers, unlike what you see here in Nevada, which is one of the states that's exempted from PASPA, where you have a vibrant and growing market with full transparency, regulation, protection of customers and the like. So, you just have this massive black market for sports betting all across the U.S. I mean, people watch football, people bet on football. I think that's been proven by the daily fantasy sports betting companies. And I was at Delaware Park 2 days ago for the sports betting in Delaware, and the line, starting at 12 noon when I was there, there were 6 betting windows open, and the line still went all the way back to the other end of the first floor of the clubhouse at Delaware Park. And it's a sizable line, and the people in that line represent all aspects of American society. I mean, white, black, old, young, male, female, football is a great unifier in a country that it sometimes seems is pretty divided. And betting on football shares that cross ethnicity, cross generational, cross sexes impact on people.
I always think it's interesting that if you can get a bowl game and the governor of Washington can bet a bushel of apples against the governor of Florida who bets a bushel of oranges, and I guess technically that's illegal.
Well, it depends. I mean, it depends on the state laws, I suppose, and whether that's state sponsorship. Maybe it is if it's the governor's involved. But people bet. It just makes the game more interesting, right? That's why the daily fantasy sports betting companies were able to get going because they were offering, a form of internet gambling in broad daylight. And of course, there's an appetite for betting on sports. You talk to anybody, I guarantee you I could walk into any town of any size in this country and within a half an hour find out a way to get a bet down, right? All you'd have to do is ask the concierge at the hotel or the waiter in the restaurant, and you'd find out who's taking bets on games. And right now, that's a market that's operated by criminals. I mean, they break the law. If there's something untoward going on, they're not going to pick up the phone and call the FBI like we would call the Gaming Control Board here in Nevada. And so I just don't see how this black market really serves to benefit anyone. Clearly, it doesn't benefit states because they're missing out on tax revenue. It doesn't benefit consumers who are totally unprotected, and it doesn't benefit the leagues who are missing out on a massive revenue opportunity. And to his credit, Commissioner Silver really, I think, helped ignite the discussion with his op-ed piece in the New York Times. I think it's been 2 years now, and he's continued to speak intelligently and candidly about the issue, and that's to be commended. And we'll see ultimately where that leads, whether it's something that happens in Congress, whether there's more litigation, or whether there's both, which is certainly one likely or one possible outcome.
A year ago, one of the big buzzwords was daily fantasy sports, and I know you had some skepticism about several aspects of that. The buzzword maybe this year is eSports, and I think you have a sort of a bullish outlook on the future of eSports. What do you see for that?
Well, so eSports is really betting on other people who are playing a video game. And I'm a believer, and I don't know what the size of the market is, but I'll tell you a little story. When I was a little kid growing up in Wilmington, Delaware, I used to play Pac-Man. And I played too much. I had calluses on my fingers, and I was really good at Pac-Man. And people used to give me a quarter to play and then stand there and watch me play. So maybe they could learn the patterns or see what I was doing. And fundamentally, that's eSports, right? I mean, I think that's one of the reasons people watch golf on television is you can actually play the game yourself. Now, you may not be nearly as good as Rory McIlroy is, but you can relate because you've been in a position where you've tried to take a shot, and then you see these guys make it look easy. Esports, same kind of thing, right? You can play the game yourself, or you can watch an expert play. And again, if you're watching people do things, oftentimes people bet. I mean, look at all the betting that's going on in the presidential election this year. The betting on the presidential race has never been greater. There's a tremendous amount of interest in it. And so, people like to sort of back up their opinion, betting a few dollars to have a vested interest in the outcome.
William Hill is a publicly traded company in London. So obviously there's an investor interest in it. North America is an increasingly growing part of William Hill's operation. I'm assuming if sports betting is legalized, that William Hill is ready, if it be legalized nationally or in many large states, William Hill is ready to jump in and offer its services there, which would have a significant impact on the overall value of that company.
Well, sure. I mean, the most obvious thing is we have the agreement with Monmouth Park in New Jersey to operate a sports book there in the event it becomes legal or when it becomes legal. And we've had discussions with various people in other states. Clearly, it's a big opportunity for us. It's a big opportunity potentially for others who are interested in this space. So we spend time, obviously, focusing on the existing business and operating that business and continually trying to grow that business. We just opened up 2 sports books in Reno, the Silver Legacy and Circus, that are now owned by Eldorado Resorts. And like other partners of ours, they have interests in other states as well. And so when sports betting expands, we think we've got a pretty good footprint, but it's going to be a massive market, and we'll get our fair share.
Right. Anything else folks should know about William Hill US?
Look, I hope they pop into one of our sports books when they get a chance. In addition to to opening up the new sports books like we've talked about, we've just released a new mobile app Mobile is a increasingly significant portion of the business, and we're always looking at ways to enhance and upgrade that. We've launched a virtual racing product, which is in field trial at a couple of locations here in Las Vegas, the Plaza and Silver Sevens, where you can bet on virtual horse races, as is common in Europe. So we're always looking at ways to innovate and bring new products to the market and try to stay ahead of the curve, maybe try to introduce products to customers that they might not know they want yet. And my view is that the business is one of constant change. It's not being able to adapt to change. It's recognizing that change is continuous and ongoing, and you have to embrace that change and continuously strive to do a better job and give more to your customers.
Okay, well, Joe, thanks very much. A very interesting discussion as always.
Thank you, Frank.